And we are live, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. It is time for Midweek Motivation Live. This is Patrick Lee, your host. We're going to have a fun show today. I hope y'all are ready to dig in with me on this. We're going to challenge a couple of mindsets. We're going to talk about a couple of different topics and do a little bit of self-discovery today. I hope this is exciting for you. The title of the show today, Finding Me. Good vibes only. What does that mean? We're going to be talking about vibrations, a little bit of the quantum field, a little bit about God and life. Hopefully not too deep for you, but we're just going to scratch the surface and talk about some of these topics today on Midweek Motivation Live when we come back right after this. Good morning, people already tuning in, watching the show, ready for us to dig into some new topics today. A couple of years ago, in the very beginning of the show, probably in the second year of the show, maybe later in the first year, we did one show on vibration in the quantum field and laid out a bunch of facts on that. I was surprised at the amount of people that were interested in that watched the show, that commented. And here lately, a lot of talk has been going on in this field, vibrations, the quantum field, God, spirituality. A lot of things have popped up in the past. Different people have started entire religions or movements based on the quantum field, based on you being your inner God and the powers that you have. A lot of things like that misconstrue spiritual concepts, life concepts, and things that I want to talk about a little bit today. And I'm not here to tell you that my word is gospel. I may share a little bit from the gospel, some of the things that the Bible says. But here on Midweek Motivation Live, we talk about motivating you to success in every area of life. The title of the show, Finding Me, Good Vibes Only. We're going to talk a little bit about that and how that applies to all of us. Hello, Marlene. Multiple people already tuning in. I love that. That's excellent. But I have been, I'm always learning. I'm traveling. I'm listening to people, trying to come up with ways to motivate you in different areas. And this is a weekly show, right? Weekly show, and I do it live every week. Once or twice a week, I'll do a pre-recorded show. If it was a very good show and there's a family emergency or somewhere, I just can't do the show live. I don't like recording a canned show and putting that out, but every now and then I will do a great repeat of a popular show if I have to miss and can't do the show live. So every week, basically 50 weeks out of 52, I come up with new content for you each and every time. So we cross the lines with some of the shows, and we delve into some of the same topics in a different way. But we can always go back and find out new things about the same topics. Every time you read a book, you get more out of it, right? I do that with books that I read. I do that with the Bible. If you watch a movie and you watch the rerun, you find a good movie you like, you watch it over and over again because you learn new things each and every time you watch it. You may catch a nuance in someone's mannerism or the way they cocked their eye or the way they sneered at someone in this movie, or a different line that they said that you might not have caught. My wife and I love the movie Tombstone, and many people I know are Tombstone quotes people. I'm your huckleberry, you're a daisy if you do. All of these different kind of lines we remember, right? And the more and more we watch these shows, the more of the lines we remember. I was I was a Steve Martin fan, and Three Amigos was one of my favorite movies with Chevy Chase, and we would sit around and make these quotes from that movie, and it's hilarious. We love those things. So when we talk on these topics and we repeat some of them, you get something new out of it. but I've done a show in the past about finding your true self and being who you truly are, operating in your true giftings and abilities. Today, we're going to be talking about finding me, maybe a little bit of digging into who we are, how we become who we are, and how we may change that. Finding me and good vibes only. I was in a closing with Lisa Mayfield. She is at Chicago Title, one of my great friends. And she had a T-shirt on her desk. We're closing on a property, and this lady was literally sitting there at the desk, being the consummate professional and fixing a transaction that had some unforeseen glitches and problems come up last minute, right before closing. We received new information, revelatory information that could have changed this entire transaction on the sale of this property, affecting the sellers and the buyers, multiple relations, family and heirs. And someone had given her a T-shirt. It was sitting on her back desk. It just said "Good Vibes," and it's been in my head since then. Good vibes, and I'm like, what does that mean? I'm a child of the '70s. I grew up in the late '60s and '70s. How many of y'all can relate to that? The song "Good Vibrations," and "Good Vibes Only" is a thought that has been in my head, and one of the things that I have always striven or strived to try to be is a positive person. Good vibes. What does good vibes mean, right? Good vibes. So we're going to talk a little bit about vibration. Oh no, Patrick, you're getting scientific and weirdo on me, and you're a faith guy. Well, how does this all work together if you're a faith guy, right? Well, let's just dig into it. Finding me. Finding me. I've got some epic battle music playing a little bit in the background. I hope y'all are good with that. It shows the warriors up there on my screen behind me. I love that. It motivates me, kind of keeps me in good vibe status, motivated. Finding me. Many of you will know that I am a good vibes kind of guy, and very positive. Try to be motivational to everyone that I come in contact with. Never met a stranger. Try to be very nice. Some people I intentionally, I don't shy away from, but some mannerisms and personality types I don't engage with well, and I just stay away from those people unless they engage me, and then I'm going to engage the way I am. But the person that we are, the person that we're trying to become, are two different people sometimes. And finding me starts with where we came from and who we are trying to become. And the joy is in the journey of us becoming who we truly are. But we are a product of starting with where we were born, the atmosphere, the environment, the financial status, the locale, where we were born, and where we have been impacted or influenced as we grew up. And there, we're going to get into a little bit of deep stuff here with the God topic. But most children, when we start, are much happier, much more positive. There's nothing like the laugh of a baby, the squeals of joy. How many of you can attest to that? When my kids were babies, there were no babies that were cuter than mine, both of my girls. And I still believe that they're two of the most beautiful women in the world, 27 and 30 years old, fixing to be 31, Candace and Erica. Amazing young women. When they're babies, I get emotional when I think about the past, talking to them, telling stories, and having conversations with them when they were young children. Those are the things that give me the most joy. Of course, with my spouse as well, those things are incredible. But many of you can recognize that the joy experienced in the laugh of a baby when that baby is so happy. There's not a feeling like that, right? There's not an experience like that. So we're going to dig into a little bit of this. Well, children are born into a sinful world. Ooh, Patrick just got spiritual on us and went there. So babies are born into a sinful world. Does that mean that the baby is automatically evil? Well, according to Scripture, we are now a fallen race and we are born sinful. We have a sinful nature, but I still believe, and many people who are well spoken, pastors, other people who are not preachers but Christian, people who were not Christian that have had near death or death experiences and come back, talk about almost every one of them, aside from talking about the bright light. They talk about if they've had a vision or they've gone to heaven, to that realm of the babies that are in heaven, the babies that may have been miscarried, or harmful things have happened to them, and they have been taken to heaven. And spirits, all of the angels and the spirits that fly around the throne, and all of these things, that when a life is created, that baby is created in the womb and is fixing to be born, that baby automatically has human feelings, and maybe emotions, but for sure feelings in the womb. It's a living being, and these spirits are flying around the throne. They're in heaven with our creator, and that spirit comes down and inhabits it, comes into that baby when it's born. It becomes a living, breathing being. That spirit in that baby has just left the throne room, or has just left the presence of God. And that baby still has that experience. When we're in church and our children are in children's church, we don't just have a nursery at our church, we have a children's church. And at a very young age, we teach children worship and praise, and those children are giddy with excitement, praising God, their creator. And I believe that's because they just recently came from the presence of God. The closer they were to God, the more joy and happiness they find. And it's the nature, the human nature. More is caught than taught, right? The human nature, the sinful nature that is thrust upon them and grows within them as they get older, causes us to lose who we truly are. Finding me. I believe that finding ourselves, so many of us say, I just don't know who I am anymore. I've lost touch with who I am. I need to go on a sabbatical. I need to go find myself. You shouldn't need to go find yourself if you've never lost yourself. Do you need to leave where you are to find who you are, or to become closer to who you are as a person, as a being? Finding me. And when I say me, I don't mean you finding me or me finding you. I mean finding me. Who am I as a person? I was in a class in another city this last week, and we did a card exercise with finding your core beliefs, what we truly believe as a person. And some of you may have done this. If you haven't, you might look up on, you can Google it, look on Amazon, and you can find these personality trait card packs. And it's a test that John Maxwell does, Tony Robbins has done. I've done a couple of these in the past. And you have a deck of cards, and they list all of these traits: loyalty, timeliness, faith, family, legacy, truthfulness, spirituality, money, wealth, riches, all of these different traits. You go through the cards quickly, and in your mind, you start dividing the cards up as into two stacks: what is important and what is less important. More important, less important. You do that in about 30 seconds, and then you start winding that down. Okay, in 15 seconds, take your more important stack and move that down from 25 to 10. And you've found out what your 10 traits are that are the most important to you. Okay, well, you've got 15 seconds to whittle those down to 5. So you divide those traits down very rapidly. You look at the card, and without thinking about it, you decide, is that more important or less important? And you end up with 3. The next exercise, you have 5 seconds, divide those 5, remove 2, you're left with 3. And these are supposed to be your 3 most important personality traits. A great key into finding out who we are. If I asked many of you right now to comment and tell me, what are your 3 strongest personality traits? I challenge you to do that. Could you do that? Could you drop them in the comments right now? We're live on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and you can do that. And if you're watching this later on YouTube or on any one of the major podcast platforms, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Music, where you find the show, leave those in the comments and I will read those and I will get back with you and we can discuss those if you want. But my three most important were faith, family, and legacy. And the teacher of this was the director of the Texas Real Estate Commission, and Scott, and very nice fella. And we discussed it. And I had laid mine out as faith, family, legacy. He thought I laid them out backwards, and it was legacy, family, faith. And we discussed it in this room full of business professionals. And many people had different things, but mine were faith, family, and legacy. And he wanted to know why I chose legacy. And I say that because of who I am, who I believe God has called me to be in his word. We are to leave an inheritance to our children's children. And that means the things that I do in this world don't just matter to me. The things that I can consume upon myself are not the most important things. The most important things are, number one, my belief in my creator, in God, and how I am to be a blessing to my family, but then also to leave something behind for others. And that is the legacy that I want to create. So everything I do in my life, I try to bring those things back to focusing on those key components because those are my driving force. I believe that I am literally finding me and my purpose in life. A lot of you ask that. I don't know what my purpose is. Well, why don't you try doing that? Try to narrow down who you are based on where you've come from, but also on your life experiences, and then blend that with where you want to go. Finding me. And you may ask some of your closest friends in your sphere who they think you are as a person. But ultimately, you're going to have to come to grips with that in your own spirit, right? Well, what are vibrations and how do they work or affect me? We're going to talk about the glue of creation, vibrations. Dr. Joe Dispenza, numerous other people out there talk about the quantum field. I was involved in some companies in the past that the leadership in the company was closely tied with Joe Vitale. Joe Vitale and a bunch of other people co-wrote a book called The Secret, and we had promoted this book at this company. There was a movie made about it, and it's all about the quantum field. It's all about attracting, the law of attraction. And I was really into that for a while, and I found that the law of attraction was simply, to me, became a distorted humanistic version of the law of seed time and harvest. What you sow, you will reap. But what are vibrations? How do they work or affect me? Everyone talks about that. Are you vibing with me? I can feel your vibrations, good vibrations, the song, right? Um, Good vibrations. What a sweet sensation when you're vibrating on a higher level. I believe, and this may just be me, and I believe that as I research this and listen to more people, I believe in the quantum field. I believe that mathematically and scientifically it exists. I believe that it's a field that was created by God, and it's how we operate in the world today. I believe that it probably has a large amount of influence, or it's largely the impact of how God, in His miraculous power, created everything, and He created the quantum field, and it's how we live, move, breathe, operate within this field, and that things happen in the field, vibrations, good and bad, that cause good or bad things to come about or become a part of our life. So vibration, I worked for years at Purdue Acoustics, and we could talk about acoustics for a while. I'm not the most qualified person to talk about that. Hey, Pete, other people commenting, tuning into the show. But I learned a lot about sound transference, coefficients, how energy and vibrations work, and frequency. Vibrations are frequencies where people talk about being in tune, or our spirits were in tune, or we were vibing together, feeling the same thing. Well, sound transference talks about how sound moves from one place to the other and sometimes through one thing to another. But then you also have different quotients of vibration and all of these different frequencies. and what it takes to move them, influence them, or redirect them. And bass frequencies basically go through you. High frequencies need very fine particles to block them or absorb them. Those are the super high trebles. But you'll have a subwoofer and a tweeter and a speaker because they put out different sound vibrations that fill in things. Sound and vibration, when concentrated properly, can become a weapon. Vibrations cause things to come completely apart. Well, why is that? It's because this field, this creativity, this space that we live, move, and breathe in, God created. There is this vibration, and I believe it's a heavenly vibration. And it's when we're all moving together, operating in this field with God, that we become our best selves. It actually, I think, and I could be wrong, and some of my pastor friends can say Patrick's off on a tangent, but the older I get, the more I realize that my life experiences and how I let those affect or bounce off of me, absorb them or repel them, causes me to become my true self. Does this make sense to any of you? Are you getting this? Hey, Ross. Yes, rest in peace, Jay. Jay Purdue, we talked about on here, was the man that I learned so much of this about the frequency, the absorption, or the repelling, or the diffusion of vibrations and sounds. It's very, very, very real, powerful, proven things. I've been in the labs where he's tested his acoustical products. I've looked at the charts. I've looked at the machinery and watched the needle move, and you can determine what product is going to do what with sound and how it's going to affect the vibration. Vibration is real. It's a proven fact. So I'm not saying something that's not real. Ross says the walls of Jericho could very well have fell from sound waves and frequencies of the soldiers marching, singing, and praising. The vibration of the footsteps of the entire people marching around the city of Jericho could have caused something to do in the earth around that. The breaking of the trumpets and the shouting at the right time, all at the same time, could have been the frequency that caused that to happen. Yes, when you were a child, did you ever go outside with a couple of your friends and you all scream at the same time or make a loud sound with your voice at the same time and listen to those frequencies when they would clash? You would hear it in your ears and it would be painful, but you'd want to go do it again because it was so powerful. When it was done, you learned how frequencies work and how powerful they can be. The military has developed weapons that direct specific frequencies at things, and it explodes them. It causes things to dissolve. It causes things to implode. It causes things to explode. Frequencies are real. So how do we get on good vibrations only? We start learning about the vibrations, the good frequencies, when you're in tune with your spirit, when you're in tune with God, when you are in tune with other people that are in a good place with their spirit and with our Creator. We call that good vibes. A child automatically knows a lot of times when they encounter someone that's bad, but that person can fool them because of their age. And it's not fair to put that child against an adult because they may. But a dog is the same way. A lot of times a dog can sense fear. Wild animals can sense fear, and they will attack or become very defensive against you if they sense that vibration. There's this, we call it intuition, a sixth sense. Spider-Man in the Marvel universe called it his spidey sense. You could tell when something is wrong about a person. That person is vibing on a bad level. Is this getting existential or weird? Yes, Ross, if you rub the salt and pepper shakers bottom to bottom, you'll see how the salt falls instead of needing to be shaken. True. Shaken, not stirred. That's a great James Bond quote. love that. So yes, there is a quantum field. Yes, there are vibrations. good people vibe on a different level than bad people. And we need to learn, when we want to be our true self and be the good person that we're trying to become, we need to learn how to get in vibe. You're attracted to this. That's not the law of attraction, but this vibe with good people that have come from a good place. They're operating with good intentions. I believe that. And I believe that God puts these into your life, and you can come together and work together, become a sphere of influence with each other. I just believe that. Let's talk now, real quick, about the glue inside of creation. God had a plan for everything that He did. And all of these things are now being proven as well by science. The glue inside of creation. Our DNA has molecules. And when you go down as far as you can go into our DNA, the very molecules that make up the human body, there is a product called, or a protein, or an atom called laminin. And you can look this up, scientifically proven. Laminin, laminin. Laminin is the glue that holds us together as an object, as a being. And that laminin forms a cross, just like the cross that our Creator was crucified on. Everything points back to the cross. The very atom or molecule that holds us together as a creation is laminin, and it is in the shape of the cross. I was a baker for over 20 years, and we'll talk about wheat and flour for a minute. High gluten flour is used for breads, doughs, um, things that have a strong structure. Gluten is the part of the inside of the wheat kernel, the nucleus of the wheat kernel, that when stretched, it's like a protein. And when you put this flour together with water and other ingredients and you mix it, you stretch it, it turns into the glue that binds everything together, almost like a microscopic fishing line that stretches and bends and knits everything together, so that dough can rise, be punched down, rise again, be punched down, rise again to become bread, French bread, ciabatta bread, sourdough bread. The gluten inside of the creation, the product that has been ground to go into that. God created that. It's part of the plant. That's what holds it together. When you corrupt the plant, the inside particle of that, and you change it away from where it was naturally created, you come up with gluten intolerance. When you take lactose intolerant people and you take the cow, the goat, whatever it is that creates the natural milk that was created to nourish the child, the new birth, the baby, and you fill it with enzymes, grains, chemicals, you change that, and the natural body, our vibrating body, cannot absorb that unnatural, chemically produced product, and you come up with lactose intolerant people. And every restaurant you go to now, it seems like they have a gluten-free menu. They have selections for lactose intolerant people. Lactose causes horrible things to happen in their body, and my prayers are with them, or you, if you live with a lactose intolerant person, and you have to learn how to live with that. But all of this glue inside of creation comes down to how we were put together, created by God, and we operate in this vibration field that holds us together. And when you start vibing wrong, operating wrongly, operating with evil motives, you get on a bad vibe field. I'm not a hippie, I promise you. I'm not just a 70s hippie. I If you listen to these people and go Google it, man, go to YouTube and start watching very knowledgeable, spiritual Christian leaders that have researched this, Christian scientists, they can tell you that the inside of this, the God particle, the creationism of our Creator, it's all in this, and we all operate, we live and move and have our being in this realm that God created. And we need to operate in that. I put out a challenge on Facebook, social media, about a week ago, a 3-day challenge, and another pastor friend of mine, business associate, had sent out a challenge for himself. He actually said, "I'm for the next 3 days, I'm going to look at finding peace with my fellow man in every way, shape, and form, finding a way to connect with people as opposed to rejecting other people." And I told him, I texted him, I said, I'm going to turn that into a 3-day challenge. And I put it out on my social media and said, I challenge you for the next 3 days, find ways to be a connector of people, connecting with people, finding a means of agreeing with people as opposed to always focusing on your differences with others, and see how much peace it doesn't attract into your life. And for 3 days, I did that. I didn't share it with everybody other on social media. I did, but I mean, in my regular day-to-day relationships, I just focused on that for the next 3 days, not finding fault with anybody, not arguing with anybody, simply learning how to operate, vibrate on a peaceful level, finding ways to find what we have in commonality with other people. And it was amazing. And I've always tried to live that way for the most part. And I teach it and preach it here on the show, but there was a marked difference in my attitude, my ability to sleep. We all go through things. I'm going through things. The Bible says in multiple places, it came to pass. I teach that a lot. It came to pass. The things that you are going through, you are going through. You don't need to stop and dwell there. You are on your way through. And when you get your attitude in check, your operations in check, you're vibrating, you're operating on a good level and in tune with your Creator, good things happen to you. Finding me, good vibrations. Vibrations and God. Does God vibrate? I think everything that He created is for us to have success in life. He says, "Brethren, I wish above all things that you have abundance, you walk in health, and are prosper and walk in health, even as your soul prospers." So I believe that we should be happy, healthy, wealthy in our spirit, in our finances, and in life, our health. So I believe all of those for me, and I want to believe all of them for you also. As we end the show today, the last topic: a person with an experience trumps a person with a theory. Is that correct, or is that true? It's true to the person that has the experience. So for a person to say vibrations aren't real, for a person to say maybe that the quantum field doesn't exist, I would challenge you on that theory. There are too many people that have experiences with their Creator, experience with the vibration field, with quantum physics, that are Christian, that are true believers in Christ and God and the creation. And that, in my opinion, trumps anyone else's theory. When Albert Einstein came up with the theory of relativity, he didn't base it on anyone else's research. He based it on what he learned in reflection, in study, in his own personal mind, in his being, in his thinking, in his resolute thinking of or communing with God. It wasn't based on a whole bunch of other scientific methods other people had come up with. It rocked the scientific world when he came up with that, because it was a person with a new experience, not just a theory. I challenge you today, make one move, at least one move daily towards good vibes. That's from me. That's my motivational quote of the show. So, is God the quantum field? I believe God created the quantum field. I don't think the quantum field is God. Do I think that we are gods? No, I don't. I don't believe the people that tell you that you are God. I believe we are joint heirs with Christ. And Jesus said, after he was leaving, greater things than these shall you do, because I go to be with my Father. He went to create a place for us, and we will go and be with him again. And I believe that the quantum field is something that you can research, that it does exist, that God created it, and it's meant for us to operate within, in happiness, in the laws that he gave us of seed time and harvest. What you sow, you will reap. You should be good to other people. Love your neighbor, the greatest commandment. Love your neighbor as yourself. Above all the other commandments, the greatest of those is love. So good vibes only. That's what I'm looking for. And I hope that that's what you're looking for too. That's it today. Bonus tip: God is in all of us. Let's get more in tune with him. Until next time, this has been Patrick Lee with Midweek Motivation. I love you guys. Thank you for watching the show. Like, love, and share it. If you're watching on YouTube, click on the subscribe button and the bell to get notifications. If you want to talk to me about buying or selling a home, investing in real estate, I'll put my contact info in the comments below this video. You can click on that as well. Share the show on your favorite podcast channel with other people. That helps me grow the show as well. I appreciate it. Until next time, this has been Patrick Lee with Midweek Motivation. Courage begins at the end of your comfort zone. Let's go out there and get uncomfortable today. Bye-bye.